Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila, you're on my book nook. Today we have a book haul. I do want to preface this by saying a few disclaimers, as usual. So, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm mirroring my phone. So I'm trying to make sure that I am in focus and sort of more or less in the middle of, the frame, okay? We're at a slightly different angle because I'm starting to like this angle. You have sort of the vibes in the back. You have part of the bookshelf here. You have the vine lights that I am too lazy to put up properly. Because I also have my curtains, so I have to take them down every time I close my curtains, and then I open my curtains because they're in the way. We're getting there, okay? We're getting there. This is a very long time in organizing. Anyways, today we have a book haul. That was my first disclaimer, so to speak. My second disclaimer is that A, I have a job. B, I got money as a gift for New Year's. We celebrate New Year's, we get small gifts for Christmas, we get our bigger gifts for New Year's. All of us got money. I spent some of this. I spent some of that money on this. I spent my money on this. This copy of... Okay. Some of these I bought in December. If I can remember which ones, I will let you know. If not, editing Mila will let you know. Some of these, two of these were sent to me by the publisher, so thank you. And again, some of these were paid with by cash, so they were free. No, I'm kidding. But, that's my general disclaimer. Again, this is over 2 months. Okay, so we're in February. I'm filming this February 1st. Okay, we're finally in February after 500 days of January. It is February 1st. This has been a long time in the piling up. I don't know if I'm missing any other books because I haven't really... Oh, hold on. I have to start the video. Because I like having a little video in the back, Because it's cute and it's jellyfish. And who doesn't like jellyfish? Whoops. Alright, there we go. Jellyfish! Oh wait, is this going at double speed? It's going at 1.5. There we go. Jellyfish! Okay, I think for the most part, I don't need my mouse anymore. Not that you can really see the jellyfish, but anyways, I just like having sort of vibes. Okay, anyways, that's the gist of it. That's my little spiel. Let's get started. This is in no particular order because I don't remember the order that I got these in. I'll start with the two books I have on the bench here, and then we will go from the top to the bottom, and I will let you know roughly when I got these and whether I've read them or not, which is only, well, I'll get to it. Okay, the first book I have is Terry Pratchett's Night Watch. This is one of the City Watch novels. I believe this is the sixth one. And this, yes, I'm aware that I should probably read City Watch in order. Yes, I'm aware of this and that. Yes, I did my research. Okay, I have a whole tracker. I have a series tracker. This is a series tracker, okay, that I printed. I do want to get, like reprint it and then put it in a frame and then, check it off with, an erasable marker, but that's a whole other thing. And yes, I'm aware I should probably have gotten the first one, but I want to read this. And this is becoming, a modern Penguin classic. They're releasing a modern Penguin classic edition of this. So I figured if Penguin Classics is releasing a modern edition of this, it's safe to start with this one. Plus, a bunch of booktubers I watched said that this is a good one to start with. If this series does not need to be read in order, if it's not necessary to read them in order, which most series are, I'm not going to read them in order. I'm not a stickler for these things. You don't need to tell me, hey, you should read, Guards first, which is the first book in the City Watch series. I know, I'm okay with getting to this one. So this is Terry Pratchett's, one of his Discworld novels. If you don't know what Discworld is, it's basically this giant series based on this, I believe it's a turtle, and then there's 3 elephants, and those are holding the plane, the earth, so to speak. So it's flat earth, I guess, if you look at it. And this is one of the City Watch novels. This follows Captain Commander Sam Vimes, and this is probably one of the most beloved characters from Discworld, by Sir Terry Pratchett. Rest in peace, bro. But yeah, and yeah, these are like the new covers. I do kind of like the old covers. I like the sort of old vibes of them. I don't know what it is. I'll put it up here. There we go. And the next book I have is barely cracked this one open. Why do I have sticky notes in there? Sticky tabs. I have tabs in there. I barely cracked this open and the font is tiny, so that's fun. So this is Anna Karenina by one Leo Tolstoy. For those that don't know, I'm half Russian. For those that also don't know, yes, I speak Russian. It's my first language. My name's Russian in every shape, way, and form. Like, my first name's Russian, well, Slavic. My patronymic is Russian. My last name is Russian. Yeah, okay. But this is Anna Karenina. This is one of Leo Tolstoy's, one of his most famous novels. I have heard that this one is the easier one to read rather than War and Peace, which I have like right there on the shelf. It stares at me every time I go down to the basement. It's usually on the basement shelf. But so this actually doesn't really follow Anna as a character, I think. I think it's sort of the consequences of her actions that we follow. As far as I remember from the various vlogs I watched as I was deciding whether or not to buy this, I unfortunately could not get the Penguin Classics or the Oxford Classics version because they just weren't available at the bookstore. So I got this one. This is the new translation by Kirill Zinoviev and Jenny Hughes. And this was like $11. So that's like the cheapest a classics has ever been. Because also, like, look at the size of this thing. I mean, after 1,300 pages in 2 weeks, this is nothing. But this is also, like, I know Russian writers. I know we have our diminutives. I know we have, instead of Konstantin, there's going to be Kostya and Kostik and everything. And you're going to add in his patronymic and everything. So I know how it's going to be. I know how it's going to be. Because I live it. But yeah, there it is. So I'll just put it right there. The next thing I have is a book that I have read. So I haven't read these two books, but this one I have read, and it was last year, and it was in a different format. So this is the Lord of the Rings Omnibus, which is obsessed with how this looks. Can we just appreciate, just obsessed. This is the Omnibus edition. Yes, it does have the appendices towards the end. The font actually isn't too bad. I read the mass market paperbacks last year. That's how I read the trilogy for the first time. Initially, I was trying to find the box set, like the big box set, but the bookstore only had like the newer covers, which is related to Ring of Powers, and I hate the new covers. I love the story that's between those covers. I hate the new covers, and I hate that every single bookstore has those, and you'd have to like order them specifically, and it's just, yeah. So I just love this edition. I'm so excited to reread it, hopefully later this year. Yes, I will be annotating it. Yes, I will likely have a vlog, fingers crossed, but I'm really excited to get to this one, so I'll put it up here. It's like one of my most prized possessions. The next thing I have is one I also haven't read, and I'm actually quite terrified, and I don't know what happened to the spine here, but because it's been just sitting on my shelf for the past like month, so I don't know how this happened, but it is Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. And if anybody had told me that this man was Canadian, I would have picked this up sooner. Sometimes all you need to know is where the author is from, and if the author is from your country where you live in, whether it's where you were born or where you live in, or the country that, I don't know, you're also sort of part of, that's all you need to know to pick up a book. So I've been, same with like Discworld, I stumbled upon this and I was like, okay, I kind of want to read this. Like, how am I a seasoned fantasy reader and I haven't read Malazan or Discworld? So this is the first book in Gardens of the Moon. Do I really have any idea what this world is about? Do I have any idea besides that there's maybe like a war and we're following like, well, a sergeant and an empire and there's a magic system? Yes. Am I terrified because I'm so used to, you know, Brandon Sanderson and his hand holding and him over explaining the magic system? Yes. Am I excited? Absolutely. I'm just gonna put that there for now. Then if it doesn't fall, hopefully, knock on wood. The next thing I have is actually the first book of not only 2025, but of January. And I actually broke my one book in January curse, which I've struggled with the past couple of years, except in 2022. So from 2020, which is where my book tracking on Storygraph starts, to 2025, I've only read one book in January, except for 2022 and 2025. Do I remember what happened to 2022? No. Do I hope that 2025 is going to be a good year because I read two books? Yes. And I actually have the two books in this pile, so this is going to be great. The next book I have is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now, yes, this is the first book. Yes, it is. The spine has been broken. I do have some annotations and some underlining and all that stuff. Eventually, I do want to go through this again and annotate it properly and tab it so I can have a tabbed version. But yeah, if you don't know what Pride and Prejudice is about, have you been living under a rock? I can't even put this because it's not going to be... Have you been living under a rock? This is Jane Austen's most popular novel. I've been living under a rock. No, I'm kidding. Well, partially. So, Pride and Prejudice follows our main character, Elizabeth Bennet, who is at the age where she should be looking for a husband and she should be looking to be married. Now, her family is, for lack of better words, not very well off. Because her parents have 5 daughters and not any sons, their estate after her father, Mr. Bennet, dies will go to a distant cousin whose name is Mr. Collins. And so we also meet the love interest, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, also known as just Mr. Darcy or just Darcy, who appears at a ball at the beginning of the book. And Elizabeth is instantly she sees him as very prideful, which is where the pride goes in, and she's very prejudiced against him. Oh my goodness. Pretty sure, I think I read somewhere that the book's initial title was supposed to be like First Impressions or something, which is also pretty accurate, I think. And so begins one of the sweetest and most phenomenally written love stories of all time, and it is like the first enemies to lovers, so to speak, where they genuinely learn to love each other, and Mr. Darcy becomes a better person because Elizabeth is like, be better, bro. So he shows her that he truly has feelings for her, and because of that, her feelings change towards him. And it's so good. It's so good. It is so good. Eventually, I do want... My university has, I believe, the 1995 series, like BBC miniseries, and the 2005 version that I can borrow. So I do want to borrow it at some point and then read it. So I am excited to say that I finally read Jane Austen after people have been recommending this to me ever since I was like 15 and 16 years old. So, do I regret not reading this earlier? Yes and no, because, I don't know, I feel like I would have not absorbed some of the things in the same way that I did at 22 years old. So, and Jane is like almost 23, so I'm Jane. I'm not even Elizabeth. I know people are like, oh my god, you're so much like Lizzie Bennet. I'm not like Lizzie Bennet, I'm like Jane. I'm gonna put that there. The next book, is that gonna fall? I feel like it's gonna fall. That's gonna fall. The next book, I cracked the spine so much that like it like fans out. So the next book I have is one I actually got like almost 50% through, and then I just stopped because, again, January is a weird reading month, and I'm really happy that I got through 2 books because that means that I can get back into this and I will feel normal again in terms of my reading. So the next book I have is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. How am I a seasoned fantasy reader Mainly fantasy reader, seasoned fantasy reader, and I have not read Robin Hobb. How am I a seasoned fantasy reader and I haven't read Malazan or Terry Pratchett or you know what I mean? I'm a fake fantasy reader, guys. I read Lord of the Rings. Sorry, I don't know why I'm giggly. But Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb is the first in not only the Farseer trilogy, but in her realm of the Elderlings. Now it's separated into, where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Separated into 5 distinct series, where 1, 3, and 5 follow, I believe, the same set of characters, and 2 and 4 are also connected directly. So it sort of goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it alternates sort of. And basically in this one, and what else did I want to say? Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. So this is the first in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy, and this is like our main character, so to speak, where it all sort of starts, where this journey into this world starts. And basically we'll follow our main character named Fitz, who is a bastard of the Prince, I want to say Chivalry? Yeah. He's the son of the noble Prince Chivalry. And so he's basically taken in by the prince's main guy, like right-hand man, so to speak, and raised by him. And then there's magic involved because he's the son of a prince, and there's magic in their blood. And then he's taken in by the king, so his grandfather, and he's trained by an assassin to become an assassin because he has the magic that lets him be this assassin and get away with it. So yeah, Assassin's Apprentice. I'm really excited to get back to it. The audiobook, I don't remember who narrates the audiobook. The audiobook was phenomenal. I need to get the audiobook again. Let's put that in here. Don't fall. There was at one point, there was like these covers with like people that I really didn't like, and I think they redid the covers. So this is like the same as the UK covers, I believe. And I'm obsessed with these covers. Like, I just love the medieval vibes of this. It's just like the armor sort of thing, the symbols, the A. Like, how's that not medieval? I love everything about this cover. It's so simple and yet says so much. It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. If you hear some noises, that's the heater has turned on. Prime time. Prime time, because I apparently don't speak fast enough. The next book I have is recommended by one of my best friends named Helen, and she recommended this when I told her that I started reading Pride and Prejudice. And she said some things which I've forgotten, but I was very excited. I didn't buy it at the time that she recommended it to me because I went to the bookstore to buy a copy of Pride and Prejudice. But when I was in the bookstore last, I decided to buy it. And that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. All you needed to tell me is that Richard Armitage plays Mr. Thornton in the BBC miniseries, and I would have been convinced. So, yeah, North and South. This is following our main character, Margaret Hale, who goes from Hampshire to the north of England, and she becomes aware of the poverty and suffering of the locals in this mill town. So it's very industrialization, sort of centering that. And she becomes aware of the poverty and suffering of the local mill workers and develops a passionate sense of social justice. This is intensified by her tempestuous relationship with the mill owner and self-made man John Thornton, as their fierce opposition over his treatment of his employees masks deeper attraction. So I'm really excited to read this. I don't know if it's super floppy, but it's floppy indeed. Why is the font so small? Is it just me being like, why does it does look small? I don't like that. I don't like how small fonts are becoming in books. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, my eyes will be fine with it, but why is the font so small? I feel like I'm spoiled with an e-reader because I can make the font really big. Anyways, I'm really excited to get to this. The next book I have is actually 2 books in one. Shocker. So, yeah, this is the first half of the Book of the New Sun, which is called Shadow and Claw. So this is The Shadow of the Torturer and the Claw of the Conciliator. This is by Gene Wolfe, and this is a science fiction novel, and I wanted to get more into sci-fi because I'm mainly a fantasy reader, but I feel like I'm going to call myself an SFF reader. I need to get into the SF portion of SFF. But yeah, so this is very exciting. I believe this follows the tale of young Severian, an apprentice to the Guild of Torturers on the world called Earth. Earth? Exiled for committing the ultimate sin of his profession, showing mercy towards his victim. So he basically has to go on this journey, and thank you to the fantasy subreddit, I guess, book recommendation subreddit, that people recommended this. And I love slightly difficult books where you really have to think about like what's being said, because apparently this author has a habit of really like using words where they're truly meant to be. Like no word goes, I don't want to say unspoken, but every word is in its rightful place. Every word is carefully chosen, so to speak. Every sentence is carefully chosen. It's one of the most ambitious work of speculative fiction in the 20th century, according to the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. So I'm very, very excited for this, as I've been saying for the past half an hour. 25 minutes. It's a big stack, okay? And I blab. I don't know why this is coming off. Anyways, the next book I have is actually the second book that I read. And I actually finished this yesterday, so just on the cusp of January ending. And that is Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. I need everyone to read this book. If you like anything remotely historical fiction with folklore that, you know, one bleeds into the other sort of thing, I need you to read this, because this is basically Russian folklore set in the 20th century, in 20th century Russia. This is a retelling of the Russian fairy tale of Koshay the Deathless, which is a whole thing in itself. But basically, you follow our main character, whose name is Maria Morevna, who's actually one of the characters in the folklore itself, in the fairy tale itself. And she grows up as a child of the revolution. And she's whisked away by Koshay Besmiertny, Koshay the Deathless, to this folkloric world, to the island of Buyan, which is, again, very much rooted in Russian folklore. It is actually in Russian folklore. Like, that's a thing. Connected to Koshay the Deathless and Maria Morevna. So all of these big names are in this book, and they play such a good role, like such an interesting role, and the way that this book is set up is so interesting. And honestly, go into this blind. Just go order this wherever you can and just go into it blind, you know, and come back to me. Come back to me when you finish this. I convinced one of my coworkers who has, I believe, a Russian sister-in-law, and she just loves stuff around Russia and Russian fairy tales and stuff. And I was like, you need to read this book. Please read this book. I will, you know, let you take 5 years to read Stormlight. I need you to read this book. Please read this book. I will send you my own copy. I don't give my own copies away at all. Like, it's very rare that I share my copies, because it is very, very... Sorry if the angle is, like, slightly different. I had to move my thing, and I also stopped filming because my phone overheated. Anyways, as I was saying, I need y'all to read this. Forget where I was cut off, but I need all of you to read this, please. Anyways, that's Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. The next thing I have is an arc, and I think I'm going to get to this quite soon. This is by someone whose book I really loved, and I believe it was her debut book. But yes, I'm going to brag about this. I'm so going to brag about this. Thank you to Orbit Books for, I don't know, oh, this is crooked, sorry. There we go. Thank you to Orbit Books for making my dreams of being like a bookish collector come true. Because I got another good night of the month! Rachel Gilbert. Actually, back when I read One Dark Window, I loved it so much, and I was debating on pre-ordering it, right? I was debating on pre-ordering 2 Twisted Crowns. This was back, so I think it was released, let's say it was released, it was going to be released in like October or November, and I'd read One Dark Window in like June or July in the summer, right? And I was like, I want to pre-order this. But then I was like, hold on a second, this is from Orbit, and I get like the emails from Orbit, so maybe I can request both One Dark Window because I read it, and 2 Twisted Crowns because I want to finish the duology, and I can get them, and I got them. So thank you, Orbit. I am so spoiled by you. So spoiled. Please don't stop sending me books. I beg you, please don't stop. I will get to this soon. I truly don't really know what this is about. This is a romantasy, and knowing Rachel Gillig, she's the queen of romantasy. Her and Rebecca Ross, queens of romantasy. I will not hear anything else. Okay? Thank you. The next book I have is another arc from Orbit Books. Something funny about like when I receive packages is I'm usually not home because I'm usually at work, and I work in Toronto. And sometimes my sister is home. Let's say it's a Friday and they have a PA or she's home because she's sick or whatever. And, or it's like a snow day, right? But I don't get snow days anymore, unfortunately. But I'm gonna turn the brightness up on this because this is ridiculous. It is so, like, not bright. Anyways, so the funny thing about the packages is when I call, like, we have like a camera, right, at the front of our house. So when I see her, right, or like I'll call my brother, I'll text my brother, like, oh, Alisa, my sister, can open the packages. She goes and she like hides the package or the book somewhere around my room. So when this specific one came in, she hid the package like under my table, like she didn't open it. She saw the package and she hid it under my table. So then I opened it. But for this one, I had called my brother while I was on the train because the package had arrived. And she opened the book on camera, so I knew what it was. I sort of figured out what it was because I sort of half remember what I requested. And she opened this and she actually added it to this stack of books that holds up my computer. And I almost didn't see it. It was very funny. She's a little prankster, you know? She's a little trickster. So this is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I hope I said that right. This is a chunker. I don't know why it's so big. Oh my god, it's 625 pages! I don't know if I have the energy for a 600-page book. This is only 385. 385 pages. I hope. Yeah. So this is like half of this, and I don't even want to look at this. Do I even know what this is about? I believe this is also like a fantasy. This is an epic fantasy. Masterfully woven and playfully inventive tale of imperial intrigue, cutthroat competition, and one scholar's quest to uncover the truth. See, I think I confused this book with like The Incandescent by someone else, and I believe that Incandescent follows like a teacher at like a magical school, and I think that's such an interesting concept, so I will be picking it up. I think I was rejected by the UK publisher on NetGalley, but that's a whole other thing. It says "We are the Raven and we are magnificent" on the back, and it has all these like feathers and stuff, and then it obviously has like the raven on the front, and it is so big. Why is it so big? It's such a big book. It's such a big book. Book 1 of the Eternal Path trilogy. It's a trilogy. Just another book to add to my series tracker. Anyways, sorry about that. Sorry about the in-betweens. Sorry about the slight angle change. You know what? That's actually bothering me because you're supposed to see a lot more of the books here than you are actually. So I think that's what the angle was. Again, yeah, my phone overheated. Just technology things, isn't it? Right? What? Yeah, there. Okay. I think that's sort of... Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about the books that I've recently gotten. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, no, I'm not gonna talk about Wind and Truth. Y'all know I bought Wind and Truth. That was in a vlog, whatever. I'm not gonna talk about Wind and Truth. I read it already. That was too long ago. And yeah, so that's that for this video. If you enjoyed me blabbing about books, please consider subscribing and liking and watching my other videos. All the links, I will try to link the books down below if you'd like to buy them or pre-order them. For example, The Raven Scholar, which comes out in April, and The Night and the Moth, which comes out in May. If you enjoyed One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick, I feel like you'd enjoy The Night and the Moth as well. And I will try to link all the other books as well. And what else can I say? Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. My other socials will be down below. I'm more active on Instagram if you'd like to check it out. That's where I started my bookish influencer journey, so to speak. And I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!